Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of In the Studio. The program is brought to you by Davis Media Access, and it broadcasts on Davis Community Television, that's Comcast Channel 15, and AT&T Uverse Menu 99. We're also online at dctv.davismedia.org, and we're also on YouTube. I'm your host, Lynn Weaver, and today's topic is the Sacramento Farm to Fork Festival coming up in September on the Capitol Mall. And to talk about this, I have two wonderful guests. I have Kari Miskit. She is the public relations manager with Visit Sacramento for this particular event. And also Nicole Rogers, who is the program manager for the festival. Thank you for coming, and thank you for being here with me. Let's talk a little bit about the festival. What do you think the people going to the festival this year will expect to see?
Well, I think first, thank you for having us. This is just such a treat. And while the Farm to Fork Festival does take place in Sacramento, as it's the capital of our country and the center of where we talk about our farm to fork heritage, it's really a regional experience. And so we couldn't do this festival like we had last year with this great success of 25,000 people coming, that it will even grow to something bigger this year. We couldn't do this without the region. So it's probably one of the most honorable things for us to be doing within Farm to Fork is to celebrate our region. What our guests can experience coming into the festival this year is kind of the bigger and even better. As last year, it was really this opportunity for us to celebrate being declared America's Farm to Fork capital. And so we held this festival where we were able to bring together our chefs and our farmers and those working in ag and with our nonprofits and food banks, and really bring and highlight to our community all the good things we do in agriculture. And this year we get to take it even a little larger. So we get to partner with our restaurants again. We get to work on some great programming with chef demos and having some music, a great beer garden. We'll have a wine area, and we'll have areas for our folks to really get to know and talk with those that are providing our amazing food, that are growing it and that are selling it.
Well, it makes me want to go right away. No, I'm glad you said that it is a regional event, and I believe that Yolo County is also participating. And
Yolo is one of our greatest partners. We're so grateful for them.
Well, that's very nice. And also, I believe the UC Davis World Food Center is also participating. I don't know in which capacity, but I've read.
Well, and UC Davis as a whole has also been just such an incredible partner in the way of helping us grow the brand outside of just the 2 weeks that we have in terms of celebration. And you know, in contrast to last year, we had 1 week, and this year we've grown this to 2 full weeks. And I think before long we're going to end up seeing maybe even a month of celebration on exactly this. And so UC Davis has been an incredible partner of ours all year long in terms of providing experts, sharing their technologies, helping us and guiding us in the way of managing waste. They're just tremendous.
Well, that's very nice to hear. Now, what are the dates of the festival this year? I think it's the 13th?
Starts on September 13th and runs through the finale, which is the gala dinner on the Tower Bridge, which joins Yolo and Sacramento counties on the 28th.
On the 28th? Oh, I see. So it is 2 weeks.
Two full weeks.
Oh, yes, and we're going to show the websites where people can go, both the website of the festival and the website of Visit Sacramento, which has quite a lot of coverage on the festival. But how can people also follow the latest event during the celebration? Can you give us some insight on that, Kari?
Yeah, you know, there's a couple of ways. I think we obviously like fans on our Facebook page, and we're very active there, so we would encourage folks to check us out on Facebook.
Okay.
And then also on farmtofork.com for two audiences. consumers who are interested in just learning more about all of the events that are cropping up during those 2 weeks, and they have a lot of really exciting things planned and
Yes.
more just developing every day. And then also for folks who maybe have their own events planned, maybe there's a farm in the area that's going to be offering free tours, or a restaurant that's going to be producing a special Farm to Fork menu. They can go log on to farmtofork.com, click on our events page, and there's a section that you can either search the events that are going to be happening during that time span of the 13th through the 28th, or folks can also go there to enter their own events.
Well, that's very, very good and very interesting. How did it all begin? Do you want to
Sure.
answer that?
So in October of 2012, Mayor Johnson, in partnership with other regional electeds, held a press conference at Cesar Chavez Park declaring Sacramento America's Farm to Fork capital. And the Sacramento Convention and Visitors Bureau took that on to say, how can we really celebrate this great treasure? And so last year, in 2013, the Convention and Visitors Bureau committed to doing 4 key special events. Last year they had a kickoff, which included a cattle drive. There was Legends of Wine, which happens at the steps of the Capitol building, and we partner with Daryl Cordy and David Berkeley. Then we had our free festival, which was just tremendous. It exceeded everyone's expectations. We were so humbled to have 25,000 people come to that event. And then it ended with this kind of capstone experience of closing the Tower Bridge dinner and sharing in with Yolo and Sacramento counties this amazing 700-person or nearly 700-person dinner.
On the bridge.
On the bridge. And so it was just
outdoors.
Mm-hmm. It was an iconic and gorgeous. We partnered with dozens of chefs and restaurants throughout the region. The swell of support and interest just is tremendous. It was wonderful for us last year. So how we took that foundation and realized how hungry this region was to really honor its greatest treasure, which is our food and our agriculture. The CVB put their money where their mouth is, so to speak, and hired Kari and I to come on full time this year and be dedicated to building this brand, not just within the 2 weeks of celebration and as we see that expand, but build this brand throughout the year. So it started
So
with...
it is year-round, this initiative, not
Absolutely.
the festival, but the Farm to Fork initiative.
Absolutely.
I see. And well, let's talk about the festival still. Stay
Sure.
with the festival, and then we can talk about the year-round. So you know that among all the supporters, there have also been some critics of this. And I remember reading the Sacramento Bee article, I think it was a while ago, I think.
It was about last year.
Yeah, titled Farm to Silver Spoon. And I wanted to bring it up, not to be controversial, but because I wanted to address this. First of all, we need to explain what the Sacramento Bee article meant by silver spoon. And if I'm correct in saying that, is that apparently the price of the dinner, the dinners offered during the festival was very high, and therefore the critique was that not everybody could afford the dinners. Could you address this? Who would like to take that?
I might take a stab.
Yeah.
So I think with the Bee article in particular, there's a grand misconception that high quality food and understanding where our food comes from is only for this wealthy elite who can be bothered to think about it. And to be very honest, it's our greatest treasure and it's our greatest asset, and we really are champions of this farm to every fork.
Yes.
Now, and to better explain, I should say, the price of our particular dinner, it's a fundraising event. It's a fundraising dinner.
Yes.
So that free festival that happens the day before for 25,000 people,
Yes.
that's our ability to give as a gift to the community, but it has costs and expenses to be able to put something like that on.
I see.
So these fundraising experiences really are either covering costs or providing a great benefit to a nonprofit partner.
Yes.
So this idea that these fundraising dinners are only for lining someone's pocket is really a sad and unfortunate misconception.
And so what the article, I believe, missed was to balance this with the fact that it is a free festival and it's open to 25,000 people.
We're likely going to see somewhere between 25 and 35 this year.
Yes.
Yeah, 35,000.
And the fundraising from the dinners goes towards organizing
Absolutely.
and hosting this
Right.
this festival, which is great. No, another critique that I've read, successful events and celebrations always have their critics a little
sure.
bit out of whatever
We're not worried.
Yes. So is this festival is not really focusing so much to, well, first of all, the location. The location last year was Old Sacramento, I believe, or was it still, I've read that it was in Old Sacramento.
The festival was on Capitol Mall.
On Capitol Mall still last year. Well, some of the critics say that it should be brought to a location which is like East Sacramento or North Sacramento, those areas that are a little bit lower income, to make these fresh produce more available to low-income people. How would you respond to that? Maybe Kari can say something about that?
You know, it's an interesting point, and I think at least for as far as our festival is concerned, we have to think about where we can occupy the largest space with the least amount of disruption to visitors and our residents with the flow of traffic.
Too.
Right.
Yes.
But what I will say that I think has been so great about this initiative, and something that Nicole and I and the CVB are championing, is working with local farms, the farmers markets groups, to nonprofits,
yes,
not just during these 2 weeks. And there's going to be a high concentration of events in all areas of the region during the celebration, but then year round, making sure that this initiative is actively touching these other areas outside of the sort of downtown core, if you will.
Yes.
And really bringing the farm to fork experience to them. And chances are it's happening in their own backyards. They're not really aware. You know, Nicole and I like to joke that if you're shopping in grocery stores in our area, you're probably purchasing farm fresh and you may just not realize it. Or if you're having a cheeseburger at a restaurant in the region, likely most of the ingredients there are farm to fork. But it's really about education in all of those areas. And so we're really committed to making this initiative not just felt, you know, where our office is downtown, but again, across the region and by all different audiences.
And I will say too, is that we have tremendous partners like Don Saylor of Yolo County, who his office and his team had orchestrated more than 24 events and farm tours and experiences. And we absolutely encourage and will help in any way we can with our partner counties to really embrace this and find ways to own what farm to fork is for them and their region and their communities.
Yes, and we should say that Don Taylor was just elected or re-elected, I believe, to the office, to the Yolo County office of,
He's a county commissioner, Don Saylor.
Is the county commissioner.
Yes,
that's right.
And he's just been such a tremendous leader for us and a supporter of Farm to Fork and what it means for the region in terms of supporting us everywhere from Washington, D.C. into our own backyards. And so I think that we really encourage all of our neighboring county partners to find ways to engage and to find how it means the most to them and their people and their communities.
Are the vendors, how many vendors are there, roughly?
Oh gosh, I don't know that I could have like a solid count.
No, but
there's going to
roughly.
be a large number of farmers, wineries, chefs, breweries, growers, grocery stores, nonprofits. I think that last year it was dozens and dozens. It spans more than 4 blocks. So it is literally lined with tents for 4 blocks.
Yes. And of course, some of those are also small farmers from this region, very local small farmers. So for them, it's a wonderful opportunity to bring these products and show them off and everything. Yes.
Right.
What about security? These days, we're always very aware of security. Who would like to address this question? Do you have a good plan with the city of Sacramento?
We work very, very closely with the city of Sacramento and all of their law enforcement and emergency personnel. Safety of our guests is probably one of our largest concerns.
Because it's a huge crowd, isn't it? Yes. And for a very extended time, I mean 2 weeks. So that will cost the city quite a lot too.
Well, in terms of the immediate ask to the city, it's really the festival day. I mean, we have our other smaller events, but 35,000 people or so being concentrated within those 4 blocks during that festival.
Yes.
We also work to have our own private security. We will also work to have our space fenced in so that we're able to allow folks to be able to come in and participate and roam and have, it was such a jovial, easy, comfortable experience last year. I have to say that we were so fortunate and that we didn't have really many issues. I want to knock on something. Is that exactly? And that we were really fortunate that the communities saw the value in this, and because they saw their own pride, it was really well cared for. So Sacramento PD and Sacramento Fire Department and the emergency personnel are absolutely top notch, and they've been nothing but supportive.
Yes, and I suppose that the type of people who go to this festival are all very sensible people.
I think it's a less rowdy crowd.
Yes, than some other events.
Right. And I think speaking of the crowd, something that we've heard that's been interesting is that last year, people are used to, especially if they're giving away, free food or exciting things like that you tend to get a crowd that just is waiting for their next turn in line to grab their sample and go. And what a lot of our vendors in 2013 found is that folks were lingering. They wanted to talk to, if they were sampling some produce, they wanted to talk to the grower standing next to the person handing out the samples and chat about where it came from and, what seasonality looks like, right, where they could find it for themselves.
Very nice.
And that's
very
really
nice.
encouraging for our vendors.
Yes, and this is the perfect area, regional and geographical area to have Central Valley, and
absolutely.
And the capital of California.
Exactly.
Which sometimes we forget because of the towering influence of San Francisco and LA, in fact, there are some people who think that LA is the capital of California.
I do hear that occasionally.
The mayor, of course, is going to come.
Oh, certainly. I would like to thank both.
And Jerry Brown, perhaps?
Certainly, an invite's been extended along with our other state and local electeds. I would love to have both Mayor Johnson and Mayor Cabaldon present. They were both, really active and visible last year. I remember literally sharing some snacks with Mayor Cabaldon and talking about just how exciting this was last year. So I think that having their presence again, if it's in their schedules, it would be our honor to have them.
That's great. What else can you tell us about the festival that we haven't covered yet?
I think something important for folks to know is that, you can tell we're very enthusiastic and really excited about the festival, but something that we really want to draw attention to this year is that it really will be 2 weeks of nonstop celebrations. So we really encourage residents and visitors to think about where they'd like to celebrate and what seems kind of interesting and fun for them. If there's a restaurant that they've been kind of itching to try, the California Restaurant Association will be hosting Farm to Fork Restaurant Weeks. So it will be all of their member restaurants offering specialized menus with Farm to Fork offerings. So that's something that people can do, plan an evening out to see something that maybe they haven't tried yet.
Kari, when you say, sorry for interrupting,
Sure.
When you say non-stop, do we have hours? It's not open 24 hours a day.
Well, the festival isn't, but I would say that organizations, farms, ranches, restaurants, grocers are probably hosting an event every single day and in some cases multiple events per day between the 13th and the 28th.
I see.
All over the region.
All over the region.
Yes.
So really for folks to be checking back into farmtofork.com, maybe looking to some of their favorite local farms or organizations to find out what they're doing, because there will be so much excitement. Again, we want to invite everybody to come to this festival, but at the same time, come to the festival and maybe see what's going on in terms of Farm to Fork in your own backyard.
Oh, that's wonderful. Are you looking for volunteers to help?
Without question. It is really our dream that we would have this wonderful army of Farm to Fork volunteers that are excited and passionate about food and ag. So on our website, if you visit farmtofork.com, click on resources, you'll see a link there for volunteers. It's an easy database to fill out, and that way we can then start collecting folks that want to be involved, and we can go through some of the trainings and really help people feel as though they are part of the overall Farm to Fork projects.
Good. So farmtofork.com.
Yep, click on resources.
And resources will give you some information about how you can volunteer.
Perfect.
Wonderful. And now that we've talked a little bit about the festival, I wanted to ask a little bit what brought you to this job?
Sure.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background,
Sure.
Kari?
I'm a Sacramento native, and
Yay!
I spent most of my career prior to joining the CVB working in agency public relations in the region, and I focused primarily on national and more California-based clients, but I did have the opportunity once or twice to work with the Sacramento Convention and Visitors Bureau, and I would always think to myself, what a rewarding thing to be promoting my own hometown.
Yes.
And sharing all of the amazing things that are happening in this region with reporters and consumers in outside markets. So when this job came up, it was sort of something I couldn't not pursue, and luckily it worked out.
Oh, that's wonderful. And of course, your expertise, not only you have an expertise in your profession, but also Sacramento like the back of your hand.
I do.
So that's great. It works out very nicely for you. And what about you, Nicole?
So I spent most of my career, I have some years in public relations agencies as well, and mostly working though within national restaurants and food brands. And I spent the last 6 years or so working with a national restaurant company, providing marketing for them. And that restaurant was also one of the supporters of the Farm to Fork Festival last year. And so my passion in looking at terms of where the restaurants would be sourcing their ingredients, working with their farmers, and telling a more detailed story of where the food comes from is really where I found my heart. And so it was an opportunity that was presented in terms of this is a new role and we want to create this team. And I got really fortunate that they chose Kari. And so we've become quite these partners in farm and what we're doing with the Farm to Fork program. It really was something I couldn't say no to. It's where my heart is.
You both are very passionate, I can tell that. And you really enjoy what you're doing, which is wonderful to see. And the challenges must be enormous, so we won't talk about them. But perhaps one challenge that you are wrestling with, one each.
I think, and Nicole has heard me say this a few times, for me, it's kind of what you were speaking to earlier.
Yes.
That one of my charges is to share the Farm to Fork story in our region with markets outside of our doors. And while there's certainly, within California and even as far as, New York or places like that, there's familiarity with Sacramento,
yes.
You still run into other folks who, I thought Los Angeles was the capital.
Yeah.
Do you have an airport in the Sacramento region?
Yeah.
So it's sort of a two-pronged education. It's educating them about this region,
yes,
and also educating them about this fantastic Farm to Fork initiative that we have now in the running.
And Nicole, very quickly.
I would say if there is any particular challenge, it is for us to be sorting through, there's so much. There's so much enthusiasm and interest and excitement and the drive in the community. And it's a matter of finding the right ways to be strategic and harness it. And what a wonderful problem to have, quite honestly. Granted, it doesn't let me sleep much at night, but it is a pretty wonderful thing to be in a position that's my greatest challenge, is how to capitalize and work with so much that's happening. The interest is tremendous. So because of that,
wonderful.
there's a lot going on.
Wonderful. I'm afraid we're out of time. But I just want the viewers to see this beautiful poster of the festival. And so thank you so much, Kari Miskit, for coming in.
Thanks
and
for us.
Nicole Rogers.
Thank you very much.
Program Manager and Public Relations Manager for Visit Sacramento and for the festival itself. Thank you so very much for coming in, and good luck.
Thank
with
you.
the
Thank
festival.
you.
And thank you all of you for watching. For all of us here at Davis Media Access, and thank you, and see you next time. Remember, you can log on to dctv.davismedia.org and maybe watch some of the other programs that we have on our website. Thank you very much. I'm Lynn Weaver. See you next time.